Well, thanks very much again for the introduction. I want to talk today about the Wild Salmon Strategy, which was a programme for government commitment in 2019. And as Alan said, it was published in January following close collaboration with a stakeholder advisory group. The strategy sets out the high-level vision and objectives that we have for wild salmon, and it will be followed by the end of this year with a detailed implementation plan. Today, I want to provide a broad overview over the strategy, but importantly also the framework and the wider policy within it is placed in Marine Scotland and the wider Scottish Government. Alan already alluded to the cross-cutting issues that we all face and a wide range of policy responsibilities. And you will hear today from me a bit about other strategies and other documents that are relevant for us. And you might actually say to yourself, oh, that's just another strategy, another document published by Scottish Government. Whereas really, quite rightly, you argue, well, what we want to see is action and delivery on the ground. But I just want to really just highlight how important the visibility of wild salmon conservation and the needs of wild salmon are in these documents. Without salmon being covered by these high-level strategies, our actions on our needs won't be resourced, and therefore being considered and being part in the development of these high-level strategies, it is quite an important task that we must not forget. So yeah, there is, as Alan said, time for a reset. And there is a good awareness now amongst ministers about the decline of wild salmon and the need to act. I just want to briefly say that the portfolio responsibility for wild salmon overall is held by Marie Goujon, the Cabinet Secretary for Rural Affairs and Islands. But it is important to note that there is additional ministerial interest and there are other roles and responsibilities, which reflects again the interconnectedness of any policy required for salmon conservation. There is Mari McCallan, the Minister for Environment and Land Reform. She leads on SEPA issues and the River Basin Management Plan. There is Lorna Slater, the Minister for Green Skills, Circular Economy and Biodiversity. She leads on biodiversity as per her title. And there is Michael Matheson, the Cabinet Secretary for Net Zero Energy and Transport, who leads on climate change, both in terms of mitigation and adaptation. So what does that mean? It means that we work with all of those ministers, we receive feedback from them and we provide input to them. And that helps us in the policy team to consider all of the pertinent angles at a very early stage, and it can help us to have an early buy-in and ministerial support. So that's just by way of ministerial context. Moving now to the strategy. The strategy aims to bring salmon populations in Scotland back from crisis point. We have a high-level vision in the strategy, which is that Scotland's wild Atlantic salmon populations are flourishing and an example of nature's recovery. We will achieve this through the application of best practice science and management. Work on implementing the strategy will be centred on the achievement of 3 interlinked objectives. The first is about healthy, self-sustaining salmon populations. The salmon is about evidence-based management underpinned by integrated data gathering, research and dissemination. And the third recognises the environmental and socio-economic benefits arise from healthy salmon populations. And they make the point about these being identified and maximised. Wild salmon have very complex habitat requirements And there are a wide range of pressures that salmon can encounter throughout their life cycle, in river, at the coast and at sea. And Alan mentioned quite a few of them just now. So in recognition of those pressures, we have identified 5 priority themes for action that lie at the heart of the strategy. So at the top, between 12 and 2 o'clock here, you see the theme of improving the condition of rivers and giving salmon free access to cold, clean water. Then there is a theme of managing exploitation through effective regulation, deterrence and enforcement. There is a theme on understanding and mitigating pressures in the marine and coastal environment, and making a positive contribution through international collaboration, like, for example, participation in NASCO work and ICES. And there is finally a theme on modernized and fit for purpose policy framework. So in the strategy, we matched each theme with an illustrative set of actions, and that's quite important, an illustrative set of actions, which will be added to in a detailed implementation plan to achieve the vision and objectives, and that will be developed over the course of this year and published by the end of this year. So quite important to bear in mind that the set of actions that are published in the strategy are not all of the actions that we're trying to take. Crucially, any action taken will be underpinned by evidence gathered through coordinated scientific research and monitoring. And again, Alan has alluded to some of these collaborative projects which we are supporting. But of course, important to bear in mind that in some cases the impact of a pressure at any given location is sometimes it is unequivocal. For example, where a dam fully obstructs the migration of salmon, or in the example of the beaver dam obstruction that Alan showed. But in many cases, there is uncertainty regarding the impact level. Not so much the impact, but the level of the impact. And an expert opinion has played an important role in combining evidence and judgment into frameworks for pragmatic management of the pressures. And we've been working through FMS and in the past with many of our stakeholders to assess through expert judgment the level of the pressures at local level. That was as part of the pressures tool, and that we are hoping to publish that quite soon. That will give us a good understanding about the distribution of pressures at local level, but we will also have a national picture combined then. But a key principle in managing pressures is to use best available scientific evidence, whilst of course taking into account the uncertainty through the precautionary principle. So you will have heard of adaptive management, which is quite an important approach, where we need to continue to monitor outcomes of management interventions and then feed back that information to refine subsequent actions. So that's quite important to bear in mind. I want to come back to the cross-cutting issues again, because the strategy, the priorities and the specific actions that we will need to take do not exist in isolation. Many existing policies and investments that aim to secure Scotland plays its full part in responding to the nature, biodiversity and climate crisis. For example, changes to upland management and peatland restoration will deliver improvements to Scotland's aquatic environment, which in turn will benefit the salmon. But equally, the other way around, the delivery of salmon conservation actions and the delivery of the strategy will provide wider societal benefits and also contribute towards achieving national outcomes on the environment and help to mitigate and adapt to climate change. So that's quite important to bear in mind. The Scottish Government has a focus on delivering the shared policy programme established under the Bute House Agreement between the current Scottish Government and the Scottish Green Party. And there is an ambitious program which sets out the policy positions and commitments that both parties agree should be delivered, including the Natural Environment Bill that will put in place key legislative change to restore and protect nature, a really important piece of work. And of course, this new legislation will follow on from a new biodiversity strategy, which is going to be developed and publicized later on this year. But I want to come to a project which is being launched by the Cabinet Secretary for Rural Affairs and Environment today as we speak, I think. So the Blue Economy Vision is published today, and that goes back to a program for government commitment for this governmental year. It contains a commitment to publish a Blue Economy Strategy and subsequent delivery plan to support a green recovery and just transition with sustainable growth of the blue economy underpinned by environment protection. So what is a blue economy? It is an approach to the management of the ocean, sea, the coast, and interlinked freshwater systems, and acknowledges the interplay between economic development, the environment, and societal benefits, when nature is regarded as a stock that provides a flow of benefits to people and the economy. And it moves away from the traditional income and GDP-based evaluation and introduces a natural capital approach to the management of resources. And we'll hear more about this by Dieter Helm. Important to note that the Scottish blue economy is comprised of several connected sectors located throughout the country. Critically, wild salmon, the interest, is part of this new initiative. You can see that it talks not just about marine, but also interlinked freshwater systems, and freshwater fisheries are one of the sectors shown on the right. So the Blue Economy Vision is launched today, and I will put a link in the chat box once the documents are available on the Marine Scotland webpage. Now, why is this important for wild salmon? The Blue Economy Vision will be a new framework. It is sometimes called strategic wraparound, sitting above all of Marine Scotland's policies, plans and programme. All of Marine Scotland's work will contribute to and be influenced by the Blue Economy Vision for Scotland. Critically, funding decisions are likely to be based around whether the investment will support blue economy outcomes. The National Marine Plan 2 will also be a key delivery mechanism for the blue economy. So overall, the Blue Economy Vision aims to support greater policy cohesion within Marine Scotland, but also right across government on marine issues, on, for example, transport, tourism, energy, and then well-being. So going forward, all in Marine Scotland will need to actively consider how their work delivers against the Blue Economy Vision and outcomes. So again, you know, as I mentioned earlier, you might find this is quite high level policy talk. Why is it relevant for us? It is relevant for us because we can show how wild salmon conservation actually contributes to the blue economy outcomes. And we can therefore benefit from it through the funding decisions, which will be based and linked to the Blue Economy Vision and outcomes. There's an opportunity for us to help shape the Blue Economy Action Plan, which we will be consulted upon during this year, by setting out the environmental and socio-economic benefits arising from wild salmon. That brings me back to the Wild Salmon Strategy Implementation Plan. The implementation plan requires action from a wide range of parties, and strong partnerships exist already and they need to be replicated. The implementation plan will be developed with your help, and you will be consulted and have your say in it. At the same time, there are already a number of ongoing and new initiatives which will proceed ahead of the publication of the implementation plan. So it's not so much that the work starts when the implementation plan is published. So making the cross-cutting connections is critical for us, as I said. We will benefit from high-level initiatives like the new Environment Bill, the Biodiversity Strategy, or the Blue Economy Action Plan. They can help us to deliver, but at the same time, we can help them to deliver by providing evidence on more granular delivery. So in conclusion, I just wanted to say that the scale of the challenge ahead is immense, no doubt, but with shared efforts, we can succeed in securing a positive future for wild salmon in Scotland. Thank you very much.